The New York Times is at it again. They have not only employed Sarah Jong, someone who tweets about canceling white people, among many other hateful things against the whole race. They have since continued to publish articles like Hollywood is as white, straight, and male as ever, and that black boys feel less safe in white neighborhoods. But now they went one step further. I'm not sure if you guys saw this, but they published a letter that reads like satire about a college student who is expressing his shame for not only being white, but his shame for even his white guilt. Check out this letter. Dear Sugars, I don't understand this. Is this something that I'm missing, that I'm not aware of? I'm riddled with shame, white shame. This isn't helpful to me or anyone, especially people of color. I feel like there is no me outside of my white upper middle class cisgender identity. I feel like my literal existence hurts people, like I'm always taking up space that should belong to someone else. I consider myself an ally. I research proper etiquette, read writers of color, vote in a way that will not harm people of color and other vulnerable people. I engage in conversations about privilege with other white people. I take courses that will further educate me. I donated to Black Lives Matter, yet I fear that nothing is enough. Part of my fear comes from the fact that privilege is invisible to itself. What if I'm doing or saying insensitive things without realizing it? Another part of this is that I'm currently immersed in the whitest environment I've ever been in. My family has lived in the same apartment in East Harlem for 4 generations. Every school I attended, elementary through high school, was minority white, but now I'm attending an elite private college that is 75% white. I know who I am, but I realize how people perceive me, and this perception feels unfair. I don't talk about my feelings because it's hard to justify doing so while people of color are dying due to systematic racism, and making this conversation about me would be, again, centering whiteness. Yet, bottling it up makes me feel an existential anger that I have a hard time channeling since I don't know my place. Instead of harnessing my privilege for greater good, I'm curled up in a ball of shame. How can I be more than my heritage? Signed, Whitey. The very fact that this person calls themselves Whitey shows just how much white people have been taught to hate themselves. Whitey. I'm not sure if this is the equivalent of women using the word slut to define themselves. If this is a white person who genuinely hates themselves so much that they will call themselves Whitey, or if this is just satire altogether. The line between satire and reality is thinner than ever. Steve Almond from the New York Times tells the writer to share his resources and do more to help people who need empowering. It's not the worst message I've ever heard, but he still makes the ridiculous claim that we live in a culture steeped in white supremacy. Tell that to Beyonce or Oprah or the massive amounts of successful black people. Black employment rate has continued to see gains under Trump. Cheryl Strayed suggests that Whitey is confused because after spending his youth growing up in a black part of town, he is now amongst mostly white people in college. She notes that he now lives somewhere that reflects the ethnic makeup of America, roughly 75% white, and that's why he's uncomfortable. That's technically untrue, by the way. America is around 62% white, according to the most recent statistics. I just don't see how white supremacist society can exist when almost half of the country is non-white, when the biggest individual earners in the country are non-white, and we have even had a black president. People will bend over backwards to prove they aren't racist in this country. They'll resign from their jobs, create employed positions specifically for people who want to increase diversity, and transform our education system to accommodate those who hate white people. Just look at things like affirmative action. It is a tool to help non-whites to gain opportunities when white people don't have this kind of privilege. What if lower income white people want to attend an upper class echelon school? And by the way, when I attended my sister's college graduation, she was the minority. It was mostly black graduates, and that's fantastic. I mean, this is not 1950s. I don't understand why the left are constantly trying to pretend that it is. We even had a black president, and they are trying to cry institutional racism more than ever. Just look at Hollywood. They love to empower minorities. Movies like Black Klansman and Black Panther are huge successes, and all I see in Hollywood is shaming of white males, always making them out to be the bad guys. I also look at the entertainment section of the New York Times on a daily basis. Most of the entertainment and arts is pro-black and anti-white. I don't need to rehash this whole myth of white privilege to you guys. You guys know all about it, but I find it really interesting that they are now going one step further and saying that there is white guilt privilege. If you want to see more from me and the rest of the Rebel team, like and subscribe.